Good morning. A warm, warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us today here at Hair Designer TV. I am thrilled that we're going to have another amazing session with the fabulous color extravaganza of Maxwell, our dear Max Maisano, and it's going to be really, really awesome. So thank you so much for joining us today. And today we're going to explore how to color to face shape. And I think that's a really super interesting subject. So let's now go to our presentation. So as I mentioned, today we're going to enjoy Max Maisano and his wonderful color. And this is a series, by the way, of 4 tutorials on the art of coloring to face shape. So as we know, the oval is, of course, the most ideal face shape because of its balance. And that's the reason. But what we do know is that we can color to face shape. And what we first of all have to do is identify what face shape is our client. And I know it's a challenge today with her wearing a mask, but I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit later on. So how do we color to the face shape to create the balance? So you can see here the principle of how we open, how we close, how we lift, how we narrow, and how asymmetry is always our very, very dear friend. So when we're looking at today's tutorial, what we're going to work with is the triangle or the pear face shape. So what you do know about that is that when you are looking at the pear, she is more rounded and softer. When you're looking at the triangle, she is more angular in her jawline, and therefore it's much more dramatic in terms of the contouring. Both face shapes have a narrow skull, a narrow head shape. They are not a round head shape, they are an actual oval head shape, which therefore means that at the temple they sink in, at the parietal they sink in, therefore making the jawline look a whole lot wider. So you can see here our before picture on our lovely mannequin. And what we're going to do is show you a very pretty commercial technique of how to expand. So I can't do this, obviously, without fabulous Max. So let's bring Max into the equation here. Good morning, Max. Oh, we're on mute.
Whoopsie.
Good morning, Max.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm having a little glove malfunction right now.
What's happening?
Well, I can't get it on.
That sounds like me when I'm tripping on bicycle shorts. It's like, well, they fitted the day before. How come they don't fit today? It's called washing them on a temperature too high.
Well, I was like, let me change into a clean pair of gloves before this goes down.
Well, welcome, and we're thrilled to have you. This is part 3 in our series of designing to face shape. So my dear friends, if you have not seen the other 2 tutorials, do check them out, and we're excited to explore how to actually slim down the face. So Max, talk to us about the level of this mannequin as her before image.
I would say that she is about between a dark and medium blonde, and depending on which company's level system, I'd say like a 6 or 7. And she's got a definite bit of a warmer hue to her, like kind of a soft gold.
And talk to us about the formulation today.
So what we wanted to do is, because she had a triangle face shape, we wanted to, because the triangle is narrow at the top and wide at the bottom, where there was width, we wanted to add depth to enclose and kind of soften it. And where there was narrowness, we wanted to add lightness. So the first formula that you see there, which is the root to tip formula, that's going to go on everywhere underneath our diamond section on top. So you can kind of see I've already got her pre-done with her underneath color, and I've just got these papers kind of isolating it. So she's colored all the way from scalp to ends. And I just did that in the interest of time so that it wasn't like you guys were watching paint dry, watching me do a color application, and there goes my other piece of paper.
Anything else?
So many good things happening right now.
It's okay, my love. It's okay. There's no pressure like doing a live webinar, but we have everyone that's watching us that loves us. We've got wonderful friends there. We're sending lots of love back to our friends. So tell us a little bit more about the formulation. I don't think you're quite finished.
Oh, yeah. So we just wanted to enhance what she had, but deepen it a little bit. So we did 3/4 of a level 6 gold with 1/4 of a level 6 red copper, which was like a red-orange base. So we're just kind of amping up the gold a little bit. We don't want it to scream, but we don't want it to whisper either. So it's going to be kind of like a little gold with a kiss of orange.
Beautiful.
And then up on the top in our diamond section, we're going to apply that same color that we applied from root to tip underneath, just to the new growth. So we're going to maintain depth to counteract that narrowness at the root area, but where we want to open up through the mids and ends through that top and create expansion, we're going to use 2 lighter colors that are also just very slight variations on that same level 6 gold with level 6 red copper, and then a level 9 gold with a level 8 red copper. So we've got like a 6 through the roots to the mids and ends on the underneath and on the roots on top. And then we're going to bring panels of a level 6, half and half this time, so it's a little bit brighter on the red copper, and then half 9 and 8 for about a 8.5. So we're going to get some contrast through the top. And what I'm really excited about with this is I want to show you guys a really easy technique that you can really take something like a global hair color application and turn it from ordinary to extraordinary.
Yes, and this is you obviously with lots of coffee through your system as we were looking at these papers. And so this is, I think, a really fun technique. And what I find most fascinating about this is this ability to open and close the face. So my friends, what we're really focusing on today is the importance of how we can change face shape through color. And again, it's that reminder of how we dress. So the conversation with the client, if you wear white trousers, and you're a wider body type in that area, you're either a pear or even an apple, it's going to emphasize width. If you wore black trousers, it's going to narrow down. So clients can clearly understand that when they wear a certain top or certain trousers, it either slims their body or widens their body. Therefore, the same principle we're applying to color. How do we open? How do we close? How do we reduce? How do we lift? And I think this is also very important, this framing around the face, when it comes to somebody that's keen to hold on to their natural color that left quite a few years ago. So maybe that lady in her 40s or her 50s or even her 60s who still wants to have hair that was before her gray came in, maybe that color around her face, her original color, her natural color is a little hard. But if she was to have it at the back of her head, but her framing is softer and more gentle, because as we age, the softer the looks, the more refreshing they are to the face. And we certainly don't want to pull her face down and make it look older. And unless she's 19 and she wants to get into bars and get drinking, most of the time it's ladies saying, I want to look younger. But of course, when you're underage, the drinking age is like, I want to look older. I remember doing that, Max, when I was 14. Oh yes, because the only way I could get into clubs, all the cool clubs, was, had to be 18 and over. So I would dress myself up and my dad would drop me off at the club and I'd go with my best friend Jill and we would get in there and we didn't even drink. So we would want to look grown up. So we would get some soda water with a slice of lemon because we thought it looked like a gin and tonic, which at that time was a really trendy drink. Oh, I have a gin and tonic. No. We'd say, can we have some soda water or tonic water, please, with a slice of lemon? So Back in those days, it was very important for Viv to look a lot older than she was. But trust me, today, I'm trying to take the clock the other direction. So, youthfulness as well as bone structure is very important. So we're going to later on in this seminar talk about color theory, but we're not going to go there right now. We're going to now go full on to what Max is doing. So Max, please do explain what you're doing.
All right. So what we've got going on here again is she has her diamond section on top, sectioned out all the way around. I've got my root to tip color going through. And one of the things that when you're doing something like this, you want to be mindful of is also kind of keeping the natural part somewhat in place. So here it is with, oh, see, it's over here. So here is her natural part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working through the heavy side of her part. And so again, I've got her touch up on, right? So on an angle, on this triangle, so like right, so if you want to see it from the side here, I am going to start using my comb like a pencil. And I'm actually going to draw a zigzag.
Now, why are you doing a zigzag parting?
I like zigzag partings just strictly because they're easy to put in. They also interlock the colors together really nicely, and they're very forgiving.
So when you're doing your consult with your client and you're explaining, where the color is going to live and sit, how deep do you go into the cleverness of what you're doing? Because I think it's important that clients understand that you're not just putting color in a bowl and just doing something very generic. You are contour designing. So I would like to know how, if I was a client right now, I'm sitting in your chair and I have hair like this and I am a pear face shape and I'm saying, Max, my face is so fat, which is what often clients say, don't they?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, and truly, it's not that I have a fat face. It is that the pear face shape has the weight sitting in the cheek area and the jawline, and the temples are narrow. So therefore, I don't know that if I change the dimension at the top of my head, I'm going to actually create the illusion of my jawline being smaller. So talk to me about how you would do a consultation, talking to me about my pear face shape and this color and what it's going to do for me.
So I try to keep it really simple, and I'll say that, just like with hair cutting, with hair color, there's two things that we're trying to do. We're either trying to open or close. And then I'll just kind of go into my shtick that, lighter colors tend to open, deeper colors tend to enclose. And then I sort of point out focal points on their face. I go, well, here's where I, want to enclose. Here's where I want to open. I'm doing this because this is your face shape. And really, clients totally dig it. So it's like, it's a pretty easy sell, in my opinion.
And how many of your clients would you say would hear this narrative, would end up saying to you, wow, Max, no one's ever told me this before?
I mean, to be totally truthful, because I haven't been doing it this way very long myself, almost all of them, they're like, no one's ever talked to me about my face shape. No one's ever suggested anything. And it's a really funny thing. Like, I was reading this article in an industry trade magazine, and it basically talked about why clients left their stylist, right? And over 90% of them basically said, my stylist never suggested any change.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And so are you saying that 90% of the reason that those clients left was because they were looking for something new?
Yeah. And
that's high.
There are also so much like, we get into this routine where we'll go, same as last time. And then they just go, yeah, but they're really wanting, they don't necessarily have a voice to sort of speak up and say what they want.
Yes, yes. So guys, which do you feel is the most common face shape that is out there? Because there is one that's more common. So I'd love to know in the chat which one you feel is the more common face shape that you see in your country, because it's going to vary obviously from country to country. Also, I'm curious to know if you know this fact that face shapes have trends. And so while the oval is the most classic face shape, there are trends in face shape. And a trend right now, what do you think the trend is right now? I'm curious to see if you know that. So again, write in the chat room and share with us what you think, because you know what you focus on expands. And when you give your energy to something, when you give your intention to something, and you say, right, I'm going to really start talking about how to balance to the face shape. Now, I know everyone's wearing a mask right now. But what you could do to your clients is either ask them to take a photograph of themselves before they come into the salon, front and side, with their hair around their face and off their face, or just say, could you just pop into the bathroom, take a photograph of yourself, and then you'll do the consultation to the photograph. And I do this very, very often when I'm working on a photo shoot. When I have selected models and I am now going to design hairstyles to the models, I may not see that model for another couple of weeks. So if I'm designing a collection, I need to keep looking at her face and going, okay, how's her face? Now, I don't look at her fancy photographs from her photo shoots. I look at the mugshot, the one that I took or she sent to me of just simply like this, because it's probably the most accurate and it isn't retouched. And then is what's really interesting. Try this today or tomorrow. When you're looking at the photograph with your client and you're talking about, well, you see how that area is wider and you see how this is narrower. If we do this and do this, you're more objective about yourself because you're seeing yourself here versus here. Does that make sense, Max?
Yeah, totally.
And so the conversation starts to get bigger. And the fact that you're talking about that, because no one's wearing their mask all the time. When they do take off their mask, there's such a sense of relief, right? At last I can breathe. And then it's like, oh, how do I look? I'm looking at myself with fresh eyes because I've been looking at this. And then it's like, whatever. You know, I have to tell you something funny. I was going to get blood work the other week and I had my mask on and I walked in and apparently only people 60 and over were allowed to go in and have blood work done without an appointment. So I'm there with my mask on and she says, no, you're not allowed to come in here right now because we're only taking the more senior people. You have to go. The younger people have to go and make an appointment. And I'm thinking, if I took my mask off, you'd see I'm not that young. So it was like kind of amusing to me. I thought it was quite funny. Anyway, so consultation to face shape. It doesn't matter whether I'm wearing a mask or not. You now have a strategy. It's called your phone and it's called the client's picture there. You do your consultation. You'll be amazed how effective that is. And you'll be amazed the gratitude, because we're not seen when we're like this. When you see the image, you are seeing that person, and that's really, really fantastic. So let's see what comments we have. Square has been the trend in the last few years. David, you're absolutely right. And then we've got Misty. Good morning, beautiful Misty. Square, you're right. What else do we have there? Yes, so square right now is really trending, that very angular face. But if you balance a square face, which is actually taking it to the principles of oval, I promise you that square face will look even more beautiful, because sometimes square faces can look hard. Sometimes they can look more masculine because they're angular. Depends on the age. And remember, the cheekbones and the jawline are the coat hangers for the face. They keep the youth. So a round face ages really, really well. And clearly, someone with very high cheekbones and strong jawline will also age very, very well. So oval is our classic because it's the rule of three, which is 1, 2, and 3, so that these are all in balance. And then we have the rule of 5, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 there. So those are all important principles. So when you give it the importance of designing to face shape, when you give it that importance, the clients will appreciate it. And we're talking about increasing your value behind your chair, so that your color service, even if it's a retouch, is not just a retouch. And also, these kind of little tiny things are very important. So anyway, I just want to say a big shout out to everyone who's joining us. We've got a lovely lady, Tamara, who has joined us from Croatia. Oh my gosh, I love Croatia. I had the most amazing holiday there. What a beautiful country. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So put that on your list, guys. Go to Croatia. It's just so gorgeous. So a warm welcome. So Max, let's get back into your technique. I'm going to go put you on full screen so everyone can see exactly what you're doing.
All right, so I have just been basically alternating these zigzag sections. I started here with my lighter color through the mids and ends, then my deeper color on this one, lighter, deeper, and I'm just gonna work my way across that diamond shape. Now the beauty of how you do this, it's like you could go on an angle with your zigzags, you could go horizontal with your zigzags, you could go in a herringbone with your zigzags, and it will all create a really amazing diffused look. And you can kind of customize it to how the hair falls and how the haircut actually is. So that's what I love about this. And it's like so many people I hear when I teach, they're like, oh, I hate doing retouches. I hate doing global color. It's so boring, blah, 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 blah. Well, you can do something like this even with a gray coverage client. You know, you can put on their touch up and you can glaze their mids and ends using a technique like this with a real translucent sheer demi-permanent color, or even like a pigmented color conditioners now can
Yeah.
do it because they're so much more intense than they were and they last. You know, it's like and like the clients love it. They love that you're doing something that's actually tailor made for them. You know, it's all about bespoke, customized looks for your clients, and that's I think especially now, sort of post, you know. COVID, people are looking for a more curated beauty experience in the salon.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've got here Claudia from Claudel from South Africa. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. And we have here Pamela from Vancouver. Love Vancouver. And of course, I love South Africa. I went on a photographic safari to South Africa. It was amazing. And I have worked in South Africa, which is pretty cool. Incredible place. Ruben is here from San Francisco. So we've got people here that live in hot places, which means sun fadage. And obviously our reds fade so fast. Any tips about what you do to help our lovely redheads stop fading? And what's your narrative around that with the client? Because you don't want saying it faded.
Right. So I say, number one, all hair color fades. And the number one cause of hair color fading is shampoo. And it doesn't matter if the shampoo is for color treated hair. It doesn't matter if it's sulfate free. It is a cleanser no matter what, and it will create some degree of fading. So what is not putting color into the hair is taking it out. So what I like to say is your first line of defense against fading is to take home a pigmented shampoo or conditioner or both that's actually going to deposit color back into the hair that's been previously colored to help keep it fresh and maintained. And then also once a week to do a clarifying shampoo to remove any kind of things that the hair might have picked up from, you know, externally, like from the water, from minerals, from pollution, things like that. And just, you know, like once a week or once every 2 weeks, clarify the hair, get it super clean. And on that day you clarify, then do the color refreshing treatment that you took home. And, you know, I just basically say, look, if you are not using something that I prescribed, and I use the word prescribed because, like, I want to think of myself as, you know, a professional and as like a doctor, so I'm prescribing a hair care routine for you. I can't really guarantee the results if you're not using something that I'm sending you home with. And I mean, I don't like, shake my finger and point at them or anything like that, but it's just, you got to be really direct and say, this is the reality.
Well, those are very important tips, because now it goes back into the consultation, which is maintenance, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the cost around what you're doing through here. I just put up on the screen just for a moment, just to remind some friends who may have just joined us, the reason why you have this sectioned off with the panels. If you'd just like to just talk about this image just for a moment, Max.
Sure. You can use whatever tool you want to isolate the sections from each other so that they don't, kind of mush together, for lack of a better term. You can use foils, you can use paper, you can use saran wrap, or you can do it open air. It's entirely up to you as far as how you want to approach it. That day, I didn't want to, I didn't have any foils at hand when I did that, but we had the papers, so I used the papers. Today, I didn't use anything because I really wanted to show you what I was doing with the technique, so you could actually see the sections locked together. So it's totally a personal preference. It's also too, like, it's like, what do you think is going to add to the client's experience too? Like, if she's really into like being the center of attention in the salon, and she wants to have like a bunch of foil or papers in her hair, and it's going to make her feel cool, then yeah, I'll put them in.
Yeah.
I kind of read the client and see, like, what she's feeling too.
Yes. So you can see here that while Max's color is now going to process, let's just do a revision of this color technique. You can see we have identified, first of all, that we are working on either a triangle or a pear face shape. Now, bear in mind, this mannequin does not have this face shape. So therefore, we've got to use our imagination right now. So if you think about using your imagination in terms of on this face here, which was our before, she's obviously got some volume going on. Her jawline looks quite small because she's not obviously a pear. But if she was truly a pear, she'd be very, very wide through here, obviously. So what we have done is we have closed down and we have darkened this area. We have illuminated and brought out this area here to give the illusion of this being more expansive and this being skinnied down. So therefore, identifying that face shape is really important. And anything you'd like to add to that, Max?
I mean, I think you've covered it perfectly. And then, like, when in doubt, and you're looking at somebody's face, just look where you want to open, look where you want to close, and if you are specifically trying to create that illusion with color, open is always lighter, even if it's a level. And same for closing. It doesn't have to be this dramatic, like, oh, I made it black to close it.
So here, as we're looking at our color, you can see that we've got the depth going on through here. And Max, why don't you just kind of refresh for everybody so that they can just understand this finished look?
Yeah, so again, we basically did the same formulation on our pre-done model there. We did level 6 gold with a dash of 6 red copper in it, just to warm it up, and also too, because it was mannequin hair and we knew it was going to be porous, which we were going to talk about porosity in a little bit, because that applies to everything we do as hair colorists. And again, that was applied underneath the diamond shape section from roots to ends, and to the roots within the diamond section. And we just moved across the diamond section, taking our zigzags and alternating 9 gold and 8 red copper on the mids and ends, with 8 gold and 6 red copper. So a little bit lighter on top, but all in the same color family. So you get kind of like, it's not like bold and chunky, but you get that really soft dimension.
Yes, which is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. And what it to me looks is very, very expensive. And bear in mind, guys, the light that I have in here is very cool light. So she's not looking as red as if I take her outside. Wow, it's much more golden, it's more vibrant. So as we obviously know, lighting is everything when you're working. And that's a very important consideration. And then also here in the back, when we're looking at the back of this, you can really see that depth popping through here, which is really lovely. The contrast between this and this. Is that showing, Max?
Yeah, you can definitely see it.
So that's a huge contrast. Again, now when you think about the back, when you're looking at the length of somebody's body type, whether they're short-waisted, whether they're long in their torso, whether they have short legs or long legs, how wide they are, because you've got 3 body types, apple, pear, and banana. And when you turn your client around like this, away from the mirror, and you're looking at how she lives here, what you want to be able to determine is when you're looking at her this way and you're saying to your client, I'm just going to look now at the balance of where this length should be or the color. Because obviously, if you do a straight line on someone who is a pear or an apple, you're just making them wider. When you do something that has more roundness and it has a shattered perimeter, it softens the width down below. So obviously, when the hair is lower here, you're shortening the torso. When you raise this up through here, you are elongating the torso. So again, be very, very mindful about how you color through here and the drama of what you're creating with this, with this effect. So anyway, that's our little girl. Are there any questions? Because we're now going to go into color theory. Any questions? Let's see. So Cindy says, gorgeous, thank you. And we've got Caitlin here from Austin. So thank you, Caitlin, for joining us. We've got Floyd Kenyatta. Floyd Kenyatta. Wow, wow, wow. An awesome gentleman. Great to see you here, Floyd. Good memories with Floyd. And we've got Maggie here from Florida. So welcome to everybody. So now let's go into, let's look at our slides, and we're going to go back to our before and after. I hope this makes sense. So again, what you focus on expands. So start to focus on face shape and your design. Max, talk to us about porosity.
So porosity is basically defined as the hair's ability to absorb and retain moisture. And if you look at the 2 visuals, you can see healthy hair, right, where the cuticle is pretty compact, smooth, and then its neighbor, porous hair, which looks a little bit more roughed up. You can see some of the cuticle is even missing, and you can actually see the inside of the hair, which is the cortex. There are lots of things that can contribute to the porosity of the hair. The first one being simply just the physical structure or natural texture of the hair. You know, coarse, thick, woolly hair tends to just naturally be more porous, just based on genetics. You know, as opposed to like that fine, glassy, you know, British hair, let's say. You know, so it's all very different. So even though the hair hasn't been necessarily treated with chemicals, it can still have a certain degree of more or less porosity, you know, just based structurally. Then you have your environment. And again, like if you live closer to the sea and, you know, you have the sun and the wind and those sort of external aggressors, or if you live in an area that has a high level of pollution, that pollution in the air can contribute to porosity. Hair care and styling products, what you're actually using on the hair. Hair color, lighteners, you know, perms, relaxers, keratins, any kind of texturizing product that is shifting around the internal sort of organization of the hair also contributes to porosity. Heated implements and medication. These are all things that really you want to take note of and also ask in your consultation to kind of get a read on how porous your client's hair is or isn't. And these are really good sort of cues that will tell you, you know, whether or not you might need to adjust your formula because the hair might have some additional porosity. And that just really keeps you from getting an unexpected end result if you're taking into account for that porosity.
So, Max, this hair that's so shattered, what do you think would have actually caused that huge hole? Because it's really scary, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it could be, well, it could probably be a combination, you know, like let's say that hair got bleached first, so it's already lacking in moisture, it's brittle, and then someone starts yanking a comb through the hair, you know, and it's snagging, and they're not really taking the time to detangle it. You can literally peel the cuticle off the hair. It's not that hard to do, you know, especially if it's had some abuse, you know,
Yeah.
chemicals.
Well, when you're looking at, because when you see these photographs, it's really quite shocking that, oh my gosh, that's living on my head, possibly. And you think about all the different things that our hair does go through. But obviously, we have the experience of the touch and the feel, and we feel how the hair is wet versus dry, with conditioner, without conditioner. And we have that sensitivity to the texture. But when you take it to that next level of understanding microscopically what is happening, how do you then bad porous hair has levels of porosity, like, you know, it's really, really bad or it's not so bad, etc. How do you, from feel and look, determine, okay, this porosity level is this, so I don't want to be surprised it's going to absorb the color like ink, or the color is just going to bounce off? What do you use as your level of expertise to kind of navigate through this?
Well, there's a couple things. Definitely, if the hair feels rough, dry, brittle, you know that there's definitely something going on. If I have any kind of trepidation or feeling in my gut, I will always do what is called the float test, and it's really simple. You get a glass with water, you take a piece of hair off that head, and you drop it in the water. If it floats, it can support hair color. If it sinks to the bottom, they need a haircut and they don't need color that day, or just color on the roots.
I've never heard of that. How many of
Yeah,
you guys have heard of that before? I've never heard of that. Cindy, have you heard of that before? That's so cool.
yeah, it's really easy. You know, it's like sink or float.
So what if they're like in the middle? They start to sink, but they don't go right down to the bottom.
Then, you know, you're gonna have to like adjust because part of their hair is sinking to the bottom, whereas the other part is floating. So then it's all about adjusting your product. And you gotta think, like, at the end of the day, porosity, what it really means is that the hair is, to a greater or lesser degree, and this is going to sound kooky, but it really does make sense. It's like Swiss cheese. It's got holes poked in it. Everything we do pokes holes in the hair, whether it's chemicals, whether it's, you know, heat implements, styling products, lots of even hairspray. Hairspray actually is a very alkaline product. It swells the hair up. And then, you know, you're hitting it with a hot iron. You know, it's like there is an actual physical glue that holds the hair that your body creates, that holds the hair together. So you want to think of it like the mortar in between bricks. And as just like with a building, as it gets older and it gets rained on and it gets, you know, the wind hits it and sand hits it, it kind of chips away at that over time. Porosity, you know, it's kind of the same thing. So also using hair care products that will reinforce where it has been worn down. And, you know, it's like that also will help support and prevent regret, you know, as far as like having unexpected results.
Medications. What type of medications play havoc on the porosity of the hair?
A lot of, you know, hormone replacement medications,
Oh,
thyroid medications. You know, aspirin will actually show up in your hair something crazy like 24 hours later. It's already like on the length of the hair shaft. That's why they actually use hair to test for drugs, because
yeah.
everything comes out of your body that we put in through the hair.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
It's like,
Yes. And talking to that client that's obsessed with being that gorgeous blonde, and she's like a level 4,
right.
and she wants to be a level 10. What is your conversation to that lady when you're talking about hair remaining on her head? And she's seen all those Instagram feeds and she's seen a celebrity that's doing it, right?
She probably has hair down to like the middle of her back too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
tell I
She's been,
tell her to buy a wig and call it a day. No, honestly, it's about managing expectations and being truthful. You know, in the beginning of my career, I thought I could do anything. I thought I was like a superhero, and it really turned around and like kind of bit me a few times. So then I was like, I really kind of adopted this mantra of here's what I know your hair can do. Here's where I know we can get you. If you're okay with that, then let's do this. Um, and if you're not okay with that, then I'm not the person for you. It's a lot easier to turn somebody away than deal with a crummy Yelp review. And it's like, it, don't try to be a hero. That is like one of my biggest hairdressing life lessons because it's like I'm a people pleaser all the way, but I've learned to not be a pushover too.
yeah.
Really hard because we want to make people feel good.
Of course. And, you work closely with Beth Bernardi, who we here at Hair Designer TV are huge fans of Beth. I have such respect and regard for her genius of understanding color on such a deep level. And it's amazing how many times you'll hear her say about managing expectations and how there can be a surprise.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And and it's like it's even more intense these days in the age of Instagram and Pinterest because it's almost like it's like that picture menu at McDonald's. The person comes in and they're like, they got their phone in their hand. They're like, I want a number 3 supersized with a Diet Coke. It's like I want the full balayage white hair, beach waves down to my waist. And, I have level 4 hair that's, completely frizzy and big and, totally porous. And I'd like it. I've got 2 hours today. Can you get me in?
And you say there's a really good wig store down the road.
Yeah. Send them to Ricky's and call it a day.
Talk to us about this slide, please.
Again on porosity. So this is a side by side of the same piece of hair. And if you look on, so it's on my left, and I don't know if I'm seeing this backwards, but you have the 2 little boxes that are golden, and they are showing you where 2 actual melanin granules are in the hair, right? And you can see that they're there. They're actually existing in the hair. And then next to it, to the right, is that same piece of hair, but you can see where the 2 boxes are highlighted, those melanin granules are gone. And this, I am just literally showing you this just to take that analogy, the Swiss cheese analogy, home. Because you can see there's a hole in the hair where that pigment was. And that is what we're doing when we lighten hair. You are creating porosity. Not only, the hair coming to you is already porous, but we are putting chemicals on the hair and we are also creating porosity. So we need to know that, what we are doing too is also contributing to this and also how to support and compensate. And this is the porosity grading system, which actually comes from the American Board of Certified Hair Colorists. And I just love this chart because it basically grades porosity into 5 categories. Category 1 is low porosity. Category 2 is moderate porosity. The hair has good elasticity. Category 3, the hair is porous. It's got fair elasticity. You can see that it has previous chemical treatments. Level 4 is high porosity. It's got pore elasticity, which basically means when you kind of tug on that hair, it either snaps or it does not go back to where it was. You can definitely tell that the hair has had numerous chemical treatments and is 4 levels lighter. And then, you know, porosity level 5 is basically like barbecued hair. And, you know, this is just like a good little thing to kind of have to the side. And just know that if you're dealing with a 4 or a 5, you're really going to have to adjust your formula accordingly. And
At what level does it lose its shine? Is it losing its shine at number 2?
no, I would say between 3 and 4. Yeah, and
Okay.
it depends, you know. It depends on what you're starting with too, because some people, you know, again, like, you know, like thick, coarse, woolly, dense hair already is lacking shine, you know, naturally just because of the texture. The color zone concept is something that Beth created in the 90s, and essentially it is the key to the kingdom. You know, she talks about that there are basically 3 zones in the hair. Zone 1 is about that first 1/4 inch of hair at the scalp. Zone 2 is everything from that down to about the top of the shoulders, and zone 3 is from about the shoulders to the elbows. And you have to think, okay, so it takes 2 years to grow hair from the top of your head down to your jawline. So any hair that is hitting your jawline is already 2 years old. It's seen 2 years more worth of sun, wind, blow dryers, flat irons, styling products, swimming pools.
Quite a few men.
Yeah, you know, clubs, secondhand smoke, you know, all of that. And then zone 3, which could be down here, and some hair has a zone 4, which, you know, sometimes we call that hair self-cutting hair, because, you know, you kind of blow on it and it hits the floor. You know, each zone, so zone 1 is always, you know, like if you were to mix up a color product and apply it from scalp to ends, zone 1, you'll usually get what you signed up for. Zone 2 will be a little deeper and a little cooler. Zone 3 will typically grab much deeper and cooler. And anything beyond that, you know, who knows? But, you know, it's like really learning to adjust your hair color formulas to take into consideration porosity is key. And it's what, you know, can really turn you into a great colorist. You know, one of my other mentors always used to say to me, know before you go. And, you know, what they were really getting at was, you know, really look at the length of the hair, know the history, ask questions, and, you know, adjust accordingly. You know, there lots of times we get wowed by, you know, the hope and a promise of this amazing product. You know, here's product X. It's got to work because it's super expensive. And, you know, you do everything per the manufacturer's instructions, you put it on the head, and you still get an unexpected result. And you're like, I did everything I was supposed to. And the difference is that, you know, like, what we're trying to do is teach you science, the science of hair. Science doesn't change, it doesn't lie, you know? And if you have science on your side, it allows you to kind of investigate the claims from product companies and go, okay, well, how do they actually do this? How do they make it happen? And, you know, there's lots of great products out there, but knowing, you know, the science of hair, the chemistry of products, you can make your own intelligent choices and actually, you know, use these as the tools that they are. And I think that's, you know, like a very empowering kind of place to be.
Yeah, you're so right. And to speak to the science and say, listen, this is not my personal opinion, this is science that's talking right now.
Yeah.
And to be able to elegantly and compassionately say, I love the idea, but you're not the right candidate for this, so let's rethink this. I think that's another very positive way, so that, you know, you're not compromising the quality of the hair. Because when the shine wears off the apple and someone's like, okay, so now I've done that blonde. I always wanted to be a blonde. I always wanted to be a blonde, right? And now they're not as excited about it anymore. And now they're realizing, oh my gosh, my hair takes twice as long to blow dry. Oh my goodness, the shine. Oh my goodness, the regrowth. Oh my goodness, the cost. Now the reality's kicked in. Now it's like, well, how come Max didn't tell me this before? How come Vivienne didn't tell me this before, right? Now we turn into the bad guy, where when we can be honest and professional and speak to the science and speak to fashion, speak to beauty, speak to all of the things that are critical part of the consultation, which is why I love the consultation that we use here at Hair Designer TV, because it's so thorough. And in many ways, it is a science. It's the science of designing from the inside of the head to the outside of the head. Like, why do you have this desire? Oh, I've always wanted this, right? Okay. Well, then let's maybe try some hair extensions. Let's try, why not? Wigs are fabulous. Why not try a wig? If you have a fantasy to be blonde, let's buy a great wig. Let me custom cut it for you. Let's rock that wig out, and then you can get it out of your system, but you still have gorgeous hair. And I think those are the intelligent choices that you are making. So relying on a very, very strong consultation that goes over these key points and the client signing off on it is huge, because that will then cut out so many challenges that we do see. So let's just do a recap on what happened today, Max.
All right, let me decapitate her real quick here. All right. So we have our diamond on top, right? I'm trying to do this. This is our root. Underneath, we have our root to tip formula, which is 6 gold, 6 red, copper. So that's all through the underneath and on the roots in this top section. Then we took diagonal zigzags across the top, and we alternated for the mid-lengths and ends, half 6 gold, half 6 copper, half 9 gold, half 8 copper. And here you can kind of see, she looks like she has some dreadlocks, but you know, these are our alternating sections, and we will rinse her, get her styled out, throw a little curl in, and put her shoulders on and do a photo shoot later.
Yeah, it was great. Well, thank you so much. So I hope that you've enjoyed this transformation, and I hope that this has added some value to your world, because it, to me, is just so wonderful to be able to color to face shape and expand the conversation, expand the idea of beauty. And to me, when you've been doing the same haircut on someone for a while, the only place that I've often found where I can express creativity is in color. And I think we've lost sight of coloring to face shape and coloring to shape itself. Because when we were all wearing short little haircuts, you would be coloring it, the shape, and like doing different things to open it out and so on and so forth. And we've kind of lost that because we've been dealing with so much long hair, which we love, of course. So I think the big trends that we're going to see coming are short hair. I think it's back. I've had so many more compliments on my hair being short than when it was down here, and my jawline's slimmer now. It saves me having another facelift for at least a few years. It was a lot less expensive. So there's something to be said about the return of short hair, and with the return of short hair, we have to rethink our color process. Max, any closing words to our friends that you'd like to say?
I mean, thank you guys so much for having me, listening to what I have to say, and I hope you got a lot out of it. Sorry for my glove malfunction and my papers falling out, but you know, it's just another day at the salon.
Yeah, really, another day at the salon. Guys, have a glorious week. Please share what we're doing with your friends. Next week, we are going back into another tutorial. And what's the face shape next week?
Oh, we're doing Copper Kiss, right? Is she a rectangle?
I think she is a rectangle or an elongated face. So we're going to be looking at that. So again, start looking at faces with the phone, because the face is covered in a mask. So start your consultations there. See how more effective you are, because now you're designing to that, and that will help you. Remember, design from the inside of the head to the outside of the head. For all of my members here at Hair Designer TV, you know the importance of consultation. If you have not taken the course, Who is Sitting in Your Chair at Hair Designer TV, it's a game changer. Sign up, do it, watch it. For those of you who have access to it, watch it over and over again. I know dear Cindy, who's here with us today, she's watched it, I don't know, 30 times, and she's been in the business for over 30 years. You can't get enough from that because it keeps your work fresh, exciting, and people love to learn more about themselves, especially now that they're so hidden. So go for it, have fun, and just keep spreading the love and the magic out there. Thank you so much, Max, for your wonderful talent. We love you, sweetheart. And until next week, bye, my dear friends. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.